Martin was driving towards the next town as he had an important appointment for work in the morning. It was only 8 p.m, but he felt very sleepy. The next town was a 2-hour journey, so he made sure to drink 3 cups of coffee before making the drive. He would have loved to have been at home with his wife in bed, but he had to be at a meeting at 8 p.m, so he decided to drive to the next town and stay in the local motel. Back in Martin's house, his wife Marta rang Simon, who she was having an affair with. She said to him, "Come over, baby, he's finally gone. I can't wait until you get here, and we will make up for lost time." Simon smiled and said he will be looking forward also. Martin was feeling very tired and was cursing the coffee for not working. Suddenly he heard a thump. He realized he must have fell asleep. Then he realized he hit something. He was in shock and walked out of the car and nearly fainted when he saw a girl lying down dead on the road. He had just ran over a girl who must have been hitchhiking. He couldn't think of any other reason why she would have been out on the road in the dark. Back in the house, Simon told Marta how much he loved her and they started kissing. Suddenly Marta's phone rang and she answered. Martin was almost crying and said, "Sweetie, I just ran over a girl. I killed a girl, sweetie. She was on the street hitchhiking and I fell asleep and hit her." Marta said, "Sweetie, you need to call the police right away and tell them it was an accident." When Martin hung up, a man came out of the bushes and shouted at him, "You bastard, what did you do to my girlfriend? I was just in the bushes collecting a bag of weed and I come back and see my girlfriend ran over. You think you're going to get away with this?" Martin said, "Sir, I'm so sorry, but I didn't see your girlfriend. She must have been in the middle of the road. It was an accident." The man took out a gun and said to Martin, "You pitiful fool, you expect me to believe you will be punished for what you did? You will just get a slap on the wrist and maybe get a few months in prison at most. But they will just say it was an accident, so I got a different idea. I'm going to make you pay right now, you bastard." The man pulled the trigger and shot the man in the head. Simon was very happy and looking forward to see Marta, and he was very excited knowing her husband Martin was going to stay in the next town, so he could even stay the night. Suddenly something moved, and before he realized there was a girl with her thumb out just in front of him, he lost control at the wheel and hit her. He panicked and drove on. Martin's car passed him. He could have sworn Martin didn't see him, because as strange as it looked, Martin seemed to have been falling asleep, and he wouldn't have known only for the light in the car on. Even if he wasn't asleep, he guessed Martin would have no idea it was him in the car, and hopefully he won't know it was him who ran that girl over. Okay, my family are rich, and with us being rich, we can do a lot more activities than the average person. So because we are spoiled with so many options, my family are always at a loss for what activity we should do next. And so we let the monsters in the forest vote for us. So for example, a couple of months ago, my family didn't know which holiday to go on. So we rounded up about 20 animals from our farm and sprayed some colour on them, with each colour representing a holiday. We divided the animals into 4 groups of 5 and led them into the forest. Then it was my turn to shoot out into the forest. We are not sure which holiday to go on, so choose for us. We found that all of the sheep were killed with an X mark etched onto them, and they were with the blue mark. Blue represented Dubai, and so we went to Dubai for a week. Then yesterday my mother shouted out to all of us when she thought she saw someone trespassing into our property. My father went out with a gun, and then he saw a couple of thugs running into the forest. When my father gave some shots into the air, each thug was wearing a different coloured top. My father looked back at us and said, "Blue top is full English breakfast. Green top is a vegetarian English breakfast. Orange top is going out to a cafe for breakfast." He then shouted into the forest, "I can't decide what kind of breakfast I should have, so vote for me." And then we heard one of the men scream. It was the man with the orange top who was found bleeding on the floor with an X mark on his body. "It looks like we're all going out to a cafe for breakfast," my father told us. Jason was sitting at the local bar one night in October, and he was talking to his friend Michael about making a very scary scarecrow that would frighten anyone away. He told his friend, "I am going to make the most frightening scarecrow. Believe me, it is going to be the most realistic scarecrow you will be able to see, and all these pesky high school kids who come around my way drinking, well, they will get such a fright, and so bad that they will never come back again to drink or do whatever it is they do around my way. Just you wait and see. I'm going to have it ready for Halloween." His friend looked at him strangely and said, "How are you going to make a scarecrow to frighten teenagers? I mean, they hardly scare little kids." Jason gave a sinister smile and said, "Just you wait and see." That night Jason went into the barn and got as much straw that he needed to make the scarecrow. 2 days later, his friend Michael was trying to call Jason, but there was no answer. He kept calling his phone, but he kept getting onto the answer machine. After eventually giving up, he walked over to Jason's house and knocked on the door, but there was no answer. He looked into the field and saw a scarecrow, no doubt the one Jason was telling him about. Michael walked up to the scarecrow and looked at it to see what all the fuss was about and what made it so scary. As he looked at it, something seemed familiar, but he didn't know what. He walked back to his house. 3 days passed and Jason hadn't heard from Michael. Something told him to go to his house to check, and when he did once again, there was no answer. He heard some shouting up towards the scarecrow. He ran up to see what it was, and he screamed with fright when he saw 4 teenagers lying down next to it, covered in blood, after being stabbed numerous times with a fork. He heard some movement and looked around. Then he froze in fear, realizing no one was there except the scarecrow. He looked up at it, and he saw its eyes moving. He now knew what seemed familiar. It was Jason's eyes. He realized that the scarecrow was actually Jason. Then the scarecrow gave a sinister smile, which was Jason's sinister smile. It was Jason under the scarecrow, and he smiled and gave a weird laugh. Michael screamed, and with that, 2 police officers held their guns up to him. "Freeze, you're under arrest." When he tried to explain to the police the scarecrow was Jason, they looked at him like he was crazy, and he was eventually arrested for the murder of the teenage boys that he didn't commit. Jason's body was found inside the Scarecrow, and the community and everyone put it down to suicide. But no one knew the truth. Jason sacrificed himself to become the most frightening Scarecrow only when it suited him, which was the reason he didn't frighten Michael. One night Michael was in his prison cell. He had a dream where Jason told him he never intended him to get blamed for his crimes. When he woke up, he found straw in his bed.